Could the Chiefs be on the market to sign Jason Pierre-Paul? Well, maybe they just might. We're going to talk about that and more today on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Jace Andrews. As the former top-tier pass rusher, today said he is willing to sign to a contender practice squad. For the longest time, it was, I want to be on the active roster. Now he said if it's a contender, I'm fine with just being on the practice squad. We're going to tell you all about that, but I tell you one thing. If Jason Pierre-Paul does sign with the Chiefs, the one way to know about it immediately is by joining the Noti gang here on the Chiefs Report, because it's the only way to know exactly when Chiefs news drops. Now, what do you get? Why should you hit that bell and join the Noti gang? Here's why. You're going to get alerted whenever news drops. So whenever there's a new Chiefs video, whenever the Chiefs sign somebody, whenever big injury news comes out, whenever Nick Bolton returns from injury, you're going to be the first to know because you're going to get alerted. You're going to be in the know about constant Chiefs news. We're putting videos out every single day with news, rumors, and you're going to be the first one to know about it. Plus, on top of it, you just are in the know about Chiefs. If you're going to the office, you don't want to be that guy that doesn't know what's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. You want to be the guy that goes in there and says, I know every single thing because the Chiefs Report told me. Let's dive right into it because you want to know about Jason Pierre-Paul, and we're going to tell you about him. So this came from Rapoport today saying that Jason Pierre-Paul, one of the top rushers still available, is now willing to sign with the practice squad of a playoff contender. He started 13 games last year for the Ravens. That was kind of a bombshell drop today by Rapoport because, again, for the longest time, JPP was thinking of, I want to be a guy that is on the active roster. I want to play. I'm a top guy in this league. Seems like he's changed his mind now. So let's start this off with a question to all of Chiefs Kingdom. Would you sign Jason Pierre-Paul? He's a guy who's been a top rusher, edge rusher in the league. Maybe it's one time to go out there and get him. Type Y for yes or type in for no. Let me know in the comments of today's video. We're going to pin this one. Y for yes to sign Jason Pierre-Paul. No to miss out and don't sign JPP. Okay, so let's look at his resume here. He played for the Giants, Buccaneers, and Ravens. Obviously, he was more known for his time with the Giants and Buccaneers. A 3-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and was first All-Pro back in 2011. Seems like a long time ago now. But he played 14 games last year, and honestly, he looked pretty decent in an overall capacity. I'm not going to say he was as great as he was with the Giants or even the Buccaneers, but it's a guy who could go out there and really perform well from an edge rusher standpoint, maybe even from a little bit of an outside linebacker, depending on what you want to call from him. Now that he's a little older, it's probably going to be more of an edge rusher type role for him. But the stats speak for themselves. This guy has had an amazing career, and I don't think it deserves to be over just yet. 629 tackles. He has been incredible over his almost 180-game career. The forced fumbles are just insane. 21 and then almost 100 sacks. He wants to come back. He wants to prove why he is a top talent in this league and why he thinks he can still be a part of the roster. And now he's putting his money where his mouth is, saying, listen, you don't need to put me on the active roster right away. I'll take the practice squad, and I will prove why I deserve to be on the active roster. I think that is a good sign from JPP. It's meaning he has confidence in himself. He wants to go out there and show out. All right, coming up, we're going to tell you why it would be in Brett Veach's best interest to sign Jason Pierre-Paul, because I think there's a lot of positiveness, and for Brett Veach's sake, I think it may be a good move for the Chiefs GM. Before we tell you about that, one good thing that you can do is sign up for Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the United States. And with basketball season here, it's the perfect time to start on Prize Picks. You can now pick combo projections across the NBA and NFL. So you could, for instance, pick them more on, let's say, Chuba Hubbard rushing yards and Jason Tatum points for the Thursday night football game tomorrow. Well, I'm going all football just because I like to kind of soak in the football while it's football season. And maybe we'll get to basketball here in the weekend. But I'm going more on Bryce Young and his passing yards, more on Chuba Hubbard and his rushing yards. And Cairo Santos, more than 1.5 field goals. Listen, the Bears have been pretty decent about getting into scoring position, just not about getting in the end zone with Tyson Bagent starting. Cairo's a good kicker. I think he'll hit 2. Chuba, former Oklahoma State guy, he's going to get over, or rather more than 45.5 yards. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types, what makes PrizePicks the #1 DFS app. Again, prizepicks.com/CLNS, and then use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. Okay, here's why it would be the best interest of Brett Veach to sign Jason Pierre-Paul. Well, the first one is you missed out on Frank Clark. So for pretty much the entirety of leading up to the trade deadline, it wasn't a focus on who you're going to trade for. It was, we're going to sign Frank Clark. He's going to fill that edge rusher role. Well, you didn't sign him. And now this linebacker depth chart I show because I know what you're thinking. Well, Jason Pierre-Paul is listed as linebacker. Frank Clark was listed as linebacker, but they're not exactly linebackers. They're edge rushers. The problem is, with Drew Tranquill switching to middle linebacker, Willie Gay Jr. is also having to kind of play in that middle linebacker role with the injury to Nick Bolton. So it would be nice to get the extra edge rusher, as Willie Gay has kind of played in a lot of that as well. And here's the big thing. You have no linebackers on your practice squad. So if you sign Pierre-Paul, it allows for some leeway with a lot of things here, with a lot of ways to kind of mold this defense to the way that Coach Spag likes it. He likes to have more of a drop back, but with the good four-man rush. Well, with Jason Pierre-Paul, there could be an instance where you could drop him back into coverage a couple times. He's been able to do that some in his career. You have Willie Gay Jr., who could also rotate to the middle linebacker spot, and then you could have Pierre-Paul on the outside linebacker on blitzes. You could make this a lot of packages where he could fit in. This also has to lead with Nick Bolton because, again, we mentioned he's injured and he's going to be out for at least another 6 weeks. That's not a long time. That is a long time. And so if you look at this, you've got no linebackers on your practice squad. You've got one injured already. Your edge rushers are, I'm not going to say thin, but Karlaftis, and that's really the big one. You're one injury away from needing this guy. I think right now it'd be smart to go and get him now before his value goes up, before people want to sign him, and ultimately, before he just gets taken off the market. He's going to be on a team within the next couple of weeks, especially with this report about him wanting to be on a practice squad. You could put him there, and if he doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You're signing him for league minimum at best, practice squad minimum. You're putting him there. It's pretty simple. It's a good move for Brett Veach because it's somewhat of a splash. He hasn't done much. If we just look at Veach's moves this year, the big one, trade for Mecole Hardman. Okay, he made a move. That was a couple weeks before trade deadline. We thought, okay, Brett Veach is just like last year. He's going to try and figure out some ways to make this team better. And then he's like, we're going to sign Frank Clark, right? No, what happened there? He signed to the Seahawks. Well, that was kind of odd. Okay, well, you missed out on Frank Clark. That's okay, though. That's okay. We're going to have the trade deadline coming up, and we're going to be able to trade for a #1 wide receiver. We'll be fine. Oh, wait. There was no trades. It's just kind of been a confusing season. Are the Chiefs 7-2? Yes. But can this team be in line for improvement? Can you see your GM making moves to continually make this team better? Also, yes. This has a chance to make it a splash from Brett Veach. I think Mecole Hardman was a splash. It was maybe a small kid making a splash, but it was a splash. But here's what I want to see. I want to see somebody get up there and just absolutely jump from the highest dive board and make a huge one. This was, I think, what it could be. JPP was a great guy in the league. He still can be. If you sign him to the practice squad, forget all the news. Forget what he is now. It makes the media happy. It shows you're rooting on your team, and it's something to show like, hey, I have the best interest of this team in mind. We're going to try and do this. I think it would be a good move. And I think this leads to this question. With this season and how Brett Veach has kind of molded this team, shaped this team, and continued to build on it, how much do you believe in Brett Veach at this current moment in time? I want you to get in the comment section and give me a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being you don't believe in him at all anymore, 10 being awesome. He hasn't done much, but I know he's got the best interest of the team. I believe he's won Super Bowls with the team. He knows what he's doing. He's got it. Scale of 1 to 10. Let me know in the comment section below. We appreciate you watching. As always, Chiefs Kingdom, peace out.